Halo Sobat Dua semuanya, senang sekali bergabung kembali dalam acara kita pada hari ini, Dua Talks dengan tamu kita yang sangat spesial. Dia datang dari Belanda dan namanya adalah Willem Jansen. Nah, kita akan bersama-sama berbicara dengan dia tentang beberapa hal terkait dengan pelayanan dia sebagai seorang chaplain, sebagai seorang pendamping spiritual bagi mahasiswa internasional yang ada di negeri Belanda. Now, hi, Willem.
Hi.
How are you?
Adam, I'm well, thank you.
Good to have you here.
Thank you so much. I feel senang.
Senang.
Very much senang. Oh, thank you for being here. Yeah.
Good, you learned a bit of Indonesian.
No, just during the days.
Oh, during the days.
I have some teachers here.
Great. And how was your journey from the Netherlands to Indonesia?
Oh, it was quite a long trip, but I managed. 30 hours with a mask, so that was a little bit of a challenge, but I managed.
Good.
Thank you.
So this is your first visit to Indonesia?
Actually, yeah, I've been here now for a week, and I already fell in love with this country.
And Jogja is your first destination, or there are several other destinations?
I first arrived at Jakarta Airport. I stayed for a few days with my friends of Initiatives of Change, and then I changed places for Yogyakarta, and then I will leave to Bandung, and from Bandung to Linggadjati, from Linggadjati to Makassar, and then back home.
Okay, nice. So we are very proud to welcome you here. So I believe that we can say hi to our friends from ISS, because you're working in International Institutes of Social Studies, I believe. So we can say hi to our friends there. And we are very interested to learn something from you, Willem. You've learned something from us, from our discussion just now, and would like to learn something from you. So from both sides are mutually benefited of this meeting. I have several questions, not so many, but don't worry. The first thing is we are very interested in Dutch secular context, because it's completely different from Indonesia, and we would like you to share with us a bit about Dutch context, and then challenges of doing chaplaincy in the Netherlands.
Thank you first of all for having me here, and for welcoming here, and it's very good to meet you as colleagues.
Yeah.
So, the Dutch secular context, just recently out of all kinds of research appeared that more than half of the Dutch population is not affiliated to religion whatsoever.
60%.
Yeah, already. So that means a lot, that really becoming a believer is becoming a minority.
It was completely different than before.
Yeah, it used to be 100%, I would say. So there's a major shift going on in the Netherlands in that regard. Probably it's most of the most secular countries in Europe, maybe in the world. But I must say it gives challenges, but also opportunities. But then you really have to come out and to speak out for your religion and what you really mean to be a religious person. And again, all the religions are there represented. So a lot of commonalities and a lot of interfaith harmony is looking for now over and against this common secular society. People don't take it for granted anymore that you are religious. You have to explain. It's not because of your parents, it's not because of your background, because it has to do with your authenticity. So who do you really think you are as a believer? And can you express yourself? Not I was born like a Protestant or a Christian or a Muslim, but you have to explain yourself.
Why you are religious, and why you choose to be religious, and why you choose to wear a hijab, for example, how and why you choose to wear a cross, for example.
Exactly.
So it has to do with how you narrate your faith, how you make a narration of your faith. I mean, how you speak up, how you would say to the world that here I am, and this is who I am, and this is me.
Yeah.
That's how authentic you are, then you have to explain yourself.
Yeah. Authenticity is very important, also for young people, of course. You cannot say, well, I'm religiously born and these and these rituals I follow. But people are attracted by the narration, the narrative you tell. Why is it so important for you? Why is spirituality so important for you? So now you see quite a lot of youngsters looking for meaning in life. And they pick a little bit of Buddhism, they pick a little bit of Islam, a little bit of Christianity, a little bit of mindfulness. So they sometimes make a cocktail, a salad bowl of it. Also in terms of individualism, that you create your own kind of worldview or meaning of life.
So it's more fluid, I think. Like being religious in the Netherlands is more fluid.
Yeah.
You can pick pick a fruit from a Buddhism tree, pick a fruit from a Christian tree, for example, and then you enjoy everything in a bowl of a salad, for example.
Yeah. As long as you can explain yourself and feel happy with
as long as you can explain yourself. That's the bold line.
Yeah. And individualism, of course, that's a big issue. The community, especially youngsters, feel, well, the institution of religion, the institutions like education, the buildings, the personnel on the ground, that's not taken for granted anymore. It's not the institution, but your personal, individual spirituality.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because we've heard about Dutch secular context and we are afraid of being religious in such a secular context. We've seen also migrants from different countries, from Indonesia, for example. We are surprised that they have their own mosque there, and then they can practice their religion freely there too. Like you mentioned, they must able to make a narrative of their faith. As long as it is possible, then it's fine. I think that's the biggest challenge. I think how you make a narrative of your faith.
Yeah. That's a challenge.
Yeah. And about international student chaplaincy and purposes of having a chaplaincy in ISS, could you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, it's very interesting because the Dutch tend to think that they are the leading country in this, in secularism. Actually, it's only an experiment. Secularism is an experiment because at ISS, almost 90% of the students is coming from countries where religion matters, where religion is daily, a part of daily life. So also in such a secular institution, they realized that religion matters. So they have to facilitate a religion by prayer rooms, by having ways of talking about it. So that's really what's coming out of the recent discussions, actually.
Yeah, and how's the response of the international students concerning your programs there, and do they appreciate that, or do they feel like, no, it's not my thing?
Well, there's always differentiation in between the huge group of students. But as I say, 90% of the world population is a believer. And then they experience the Dutch secular context where it is hardly taking place. They see a church with only old people most of the time. It's very difficult to attract youngsters to the church. So they ask questions about their own context. They ask questions about the secular context. How is it possible to be nothing, to not be represented by any religion? So it raises a lot of questions. So that's often really part of our discussions. How does religion and state, how do they relate to each other in our own context, where we're coming from, in Colombia or in Kenya or in Nepal,
African countries,
Indonesia, and in the Netherlands.
So that discussion must be very fruitful, I think, because it's
it is.
around two different point of views. and they bring their own luggages, and then they share what they have, and then they relate this to their present context in the Netherlands, for example.
Yeah, because what they learn is there is also a lot of freedom in it. Because in some countries the right of freedom and religious expression, they find it even higher in the Netherlands than in other countries.
Yes.
So sometimes they say, well, I can practice my religion better here in this kind of secular context than I can do back home. That's the flip side of it.
That's an important point, I think. Now, I would like to ask something personal, Willem.
Please.
The driving force of you, yourself, your personal self, of organizing this chaplaincy, what is it?
Well, of course, my faith, my spirituality, sharing. In an individual society like the Netherlands, it's always about community building. So therefore we have several projects we do together with initiatives of change. These international organizations which is inviting me to Indonesia, and so we always collaborate with initiatives of change in the chaplaincy as well. Really to build safe space. Safe space where people can speak out and speak up. So one of the inspiring projects for me now is a project called Casa Amalia, because it's a casa, it's a house, Spanish. Amalia is our street where Initiatives of Change is. There we want to create a home away from home. So international students come there. It's a kind of a room setting where you can feel at ease, where you can drink a cup of coffee, you can play a game, you open your laptop, do some studies. So just a feeling of home. And that inspires me because what I heard, I really thought loneliness doesn't exist in Indonesia. But from our earlier discussion now, I learned that there is in Indonesia as well.
There is.
But this is the biggest problem in Holland at the moment. It's a kind of a top priority that due to individualism, people are so lonesome, and especially international students during the corona pandemics. It can be extremely hard for so to reach out to that kind of people, to walk along them and be a companion for a time, that really inspires me. And that is, I think, I saw in the chapel here this great icon of the Emmaus. So really representing these friends going alongside. And that's what we try to do in chaplaincy, I think, here and back home, walking along with students for a while and being companions.
Can I call it as a vision of international student chaplaincy, what you've just mentioned just now, that you represent yourself as a friend walking along the way together? Or you have another vision of?
No, I would love to embrace that vision because I really think so. That we should be as friends, as companions. The times have gone, especially in the Netherlands, that there is a hierarchy. There is the pastor, there is the priest, there is the pope, there is the imam, there is the... this idea of building friendships through generations from different perspectives, different backgrounds, that we have a period in life when we can really walk along each other and share each other's stories. Storytelling, also initiatives of change, is very important. Personal stories, not so much the big stories, because I think now we live in a time of the end of the big stories. The grand stories. It is about personal relationships, personal, small stories we have to tell and share each other.
That's what matters most. Now, you've mentioned about initiative of change. Tell us more about this initiative of change. There's something interesting too, I think.
Yeah. So Initiative of Change is quite an old organization, like 90 years old, something even more. We are an international organization. Originally coming from a Lutheran minister, Boegman, And he started with a vision. He was somewhere in an orphanage, and he saw a lot of injustices, and he said, well, where can the change in the world start? Change starts with myself. So like Mahatma Gandhi was saying, be the change you want to see in the world. You yourself are personally responsible for what you do in your to change yourself and then to change the world. So through all kind of projects worldwide in 60 countries, we try to bring together groups in society which otherwise would not meet each other otherwise. So we do it through a circle of change. You change with yourself, with silence. You start with science, meditation, reflecting on yourself, and from there on you create safe space for others to meet and to create change in the wider circle.
Exchanges between peoples, exchanges between cultures, among cultures, and
religions.
Religions. So you've involved in this NGO actively, also, and on the other side, you do a chaplaincy too, and you do this initiative of change as well.
It's very well to compare.
Yeah, great.
And to combine.
Well, I think we can cooperate on that. I mean, we can ask more on that later on, and probably our campus ministry can collaborate together with your campus ministry or your chaplaincy in doing something for initiative of change, for example.
I think we can learn a lot from how you operate here, how the chaplaincy is organized here. You're really privileged, what I heard from you, how you're organized with the team, how you're on an equal footing with the management of this university. So we can really learn a lot from you. So.
So we do hope that we can cooperate more in the future. Now, last questions. What is your impressions of Indonesia?
Oh, Indonesia. My first sentence was already, I fell in love with this country at the first moment. And people warned me.
Cooperate on that. I mean, we can ask more on that later on.
And people warned me for that.
Okay.
So you will not go once, but it will be
second time, third time, fourth time. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been living in quite a lot of countries, 5 years in Kenya with my family, and in Egypt I've done my master. I've been traveling in the Middle East quite a lot of times. And I find even the big cities like Jakarta and Yogyakarta, people are so patient, even in the traffic. Not so much horning, so patient, giving way to each other, being patient, laughing, even if things are not going that well. You still being patient and love it away. I don't know about the inner feelings, of course, yet. But I feel the rain coming now to Yogyakarta, the greenery, the flowers, the space. I really, like I started this interview, I really feel senang. And I thank you, and I thank the people I meet.
Yeah, thank you very much, Willem. That's all our questions, and thank you very much for your time of coming to our campus with our Wacana. Also, the possibility of sharing with us about your experiences back home in the Netherlands.
Thank you so
much. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama. You're welcome. Oke, teman-teman Sobat Dua, demikian perbincangan kita dengan Willem Jansen dari Belanda. Nah, Sobat Dua bisa menyaksikan Dua Talks, sesi Dua Talks hari ini di tiap hari Jumat jam 6 sore. Demikian saja, salam dari kita, salam Dua Talk Sorbum. Sampai jumpa.
Salam.